Hey guys, thanks for tuning in once again. The Zero Cero is now fully built and I can already tell you this. As expected, there were absolutely no issues during the assembly process. The quality remains excellent, the fit and finish are outstanding, and honestly, there isn't a single thing that I could really criticize. That said, there are a few interesting details that caught my attention and might be worth talking about. So let's go through them one by one. Let's start with the shock absorbers. The first thing you'll notice is that the shocks have become noticeably more compact compared to the previous generation. They now use 17mm springs, which puts them right in line with current designs from manufacturers like X-Ray, ARC and Associated. Visually, the first thing that stands out are the marked shock caps. Just like on the differential, you can use these markings to identify the shock oil you're running. It's a small feature, but definitely a useful one if you regularly test different setups or run multiple sets of shocks. One detail I really like can be found on the lower spring retainers. They feature a small locating tab that clicks into position when installed correctly. You can actually feel when it's seated properly, and it also allows the retainer to sit slightly lower on the shock body. It's a small touch, but a very clever and well thought out design. As for performance, there's really nothing to complain about. The shocks feel incredibly smooth, they operate exactly as they should, and they were very easy to build. After filling them, there was virtually no air trapped inside, and they practically bleed themselves. My first impression is extremely positive. In fact, I would go as far as saying that the shocks are even better than those on the previous model. They feel refined, well engineered, and exactly what you would expect from a modern high-performance touring car. So far, they leave a fantastic impression and fit perfectly with the overall quality of the Zero Cero. Another nice feature is that the car is already prepared for the installation of a cooling fan. You can see that the motor mount comes with the necessary mounting holes already built in. The included fan mount is very simple but effective in its design. It looks like this. First, you attach the fan to the mount and then simply bolt the entire assembly directly onto the motor mount. The system works exactly as it should. It's straightforward, easy to install, and doesn't require any additional parts or modifications. The best part is that the fan mount is already included in the kit, which is another nice detail and saves you from having to purchase extra accessories later on. As for the fit and finish, there's really not much to say. It's excellent. All suspension components and wheel hubs are virtually free of play, yet everything moves incredibly smoothly. It's also nice to see that all upper suspension arm mounts already include threaded holes for body stop screws. A small detail, but definitely a thoughtful touch. One thing to watch out for is a small area in the manual that isn't explained very clearly. When installing the front battery mount, you'll need to trim a small section of the part. If you don't, the mount won't sit correctly because it can interfere with the servo mount. It's a very quick fix. Just use a sharp hobby knife or a pair of side cutters to remove a small amount of material. Clean up the edge and you're done. After that, everything fits perfectly and there are no further issues. Once finished, it should look something like this. After that, you can install the battery mount as intended, and everything fits perfectly without any issues. Let's take a look at the rear body mounts. As you can see, the setup looks a little unusual because the kit includes both horizontal and vertical body mount supports. This is also shown in the manual. However, the instructions don't mention that some trimming may be required. My recommendation is to trim the upper supports, as most people will likely use the rear mounting position. One nice detail is the included body stop system. These stops help prevent the rear wheel arches from being pushed in during body movement, and they're already included in the kit. It's a very clean and effective solution. If you prefer to use the upper supports instead, then trim the rear supports just enough so that the body stops can still be mounted properly. This is what my setup looks like in the end. And this is also the body mount configuration I'll be using for my first body shell. So let's wrap things up with a final conclusion. The Zero Cero brings a lot of new and well thought out design features to the table. Both from a design and engineering perspective, it's definitely a step forward compared to the previous generation. The predecessor was already a very enjoyable kit to build and had very few issues, but you can clearly see that 3Racing has continued to refine and improve the platform. The kit itself is also very well equipped. You get a lot of useful extras included right out of the box. Things like the cooling fan mount, titanium screws, and the adjustable body stops all come standard with the kit. The body stop system is particularly nice because it can be adjusted and mounted in different ways depending on the body shell you're using. There should be plenty of flexibility to make almost any touring car body fit properly. When it comes to setup options, the Zero Cero certainly doesn't fall behind any of the current touring cars on the market. It offers a huge range of adjustments and tuning possibilities. One thing I personally like is the use of fixed upper suspension arms. You don't necessarily need turnbuckles for every adjustment. This approach works very well and keeps things simple for many drivers. That being said, if you do want to run turnbuckles and fine-tune things even further, 3Racing has included setup gauges in the kit. Using those together with a setup station allows you to precisely adjust caster and other suspension settings. Another nice touch is the inclusion of metal shims for the upper suspension mounts. The kit comes assembled with 0.5 mm shims installed, but it also includes 4 additional 0.25 mm shims. That gives you even more tuning options right out of the box. A big bonus for early buyers is the optional steel chassis. The 1.2 mm steel chassis is included free of charge with the first production batches, and even the required countersunk screws are supplied. Everything you need is already in the box, making it easy to switch between the carbon and steel chassis configurations. I don't know how long this promotion will continue, but it's definitely a nice bonus for early adopters. My next step will be putting the car on the setup station and dialing everything in properly. The body shell is already painted and ready to go. After that, it's finally time to hit the track and start testing. That's the part I'm really looking forward to. The build process was enjoyable from start to finish. The car was easy to assemble, and even the retro pink color has grown on me. I wasn't completely convinced when I first saw the photos, but in person it actually looks really good. If you have any questions about the car, or if you've already built a Zero Cero yourself, let me know in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer your questions, and I'd also love to hear about your own experiences and impressions. That's all for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing so you don't miss the upcoming track tests and future Zero Cero content. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you at the track.